Me Tina here once again from shortmetina.com. So I'm going to round out the week with the three charts that I've stuck with this entire week: Snapchat, Spotify, and ticker HMNY. So first up is Snapchat. Again, my stance has not changed much. Since this a couple of things. One, the stock and the chart is technically broken. We breached this level of support here of around 1150 when we gapped down after earnings, and we have not been able to kind of like reclaim that level as of yet. So considering the chart is technically broken, what we need to pay attention to going forward, or what we want to happen going forward, is a level of stabilization, and it's looking like for the most part Snapchat is actually doing that right now. So the range that we've had since the gap down is a low of about 1050 and a high of about 1150. We've been trading within that range for the past, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For the last 8 trading days, that has been our range. That's actually pretty good. So what that means, at minimum, the selling has subsided. Granted, a huge amount of buyers have not stepped in. We have some buyers here, but it's not above average, and that's to be expected considering this crazy gap down. So again, what we want to see right now is stabilization, which means that the stock should trade sideways for a while. A while meaning a couple of weeks, perhaps even 1 or 2 months. That'll be great. That would bode well for the bulls. Like I indicated yesterday, and I mean it, I kind of want to, I want the stock to retest those lows, or that low of 1051, right? Because then I'll be able to measure the strength of the bulls, and the strength of the bears. If 1051 is tested and it's breached and we can't get above that level, then the stock, I'm not quite sure where it's going to go at that point. It definitely is going to see a $9 or perhaps even an $8 print. However, if we test 1051 and we can hold that, that says to me that, you know what, buyers are stepping in at that level, and 1051, at least in the intermediate and the shorter term, represents a solid or a relatively strong level of support. So I am perfectly fine with this price action here. Disclosure, I am long Snapchat. So going forward, that's what I'm paying attention to. I want it to continue to be a trade range bound, right? I don't want it to shoot back up, because stocks that, you know, immediately bounce and go quickly, very fastly, those moves, for the most part, they're not sustainable. So I want this to be a sustainable move when we finally go back up, and I believe that we will. But for that to happen, we need to trade sideways for a little bit. So the next one I'm going to do right now is ticker HMNY. Pretty much sort of like the same concept, more or less, as I stated with Snapchat. Stock is technically broken. We traded as low as 55 cents today. The last time we saw those types of numbers, you'd have to go back 10 years to about 2008, during the economic collapse, the Great Recession, the housing bubble, to see that. And at that point, all stocks were extremely depressed because of what was going on in the overall climate rather. So the fact that we're sitting here at 55 cents does not bode well. Granted, we did have above average buying today, but that's definitely the shorts covering after this massive move. I think yesterday we shot something like 25% the day prior, about 45% the day prior when the sell-off first started, was about 35%. So the stock is down probably within the past 3 months a good 90%. Obviously, at some point, you're going to have some dip buyers stepping in, and you're going to have shorts covering. That is a massive move. Applaud to anyone who shorted this. So similar to Snap, like I said, what you want to see now, you know, again, you don't want to see this, you know, run up to $1, $2 in the shorter term, because that's not going to be a sustainable move. If the stock can trade sideways, at minimum, hold above that 50, 55 cents level and trade, let's say, between 55 and 75 cents, that's great. That'll bode well for the bulls. Again, you don't want the stock shooting up right away, because if it does, chances are it's going to roll over just as quickly. You want the selling to subside, and for the selling to subside, we want to see a kind of like trade range bound, meaning between two very sort of like restricted channels, and I threw some out there, which would be like about 50 cents, 55 cents to around 75 cents or even 70 cents. That would be fine. That would mean a floor has been put in, and investors can kind of like, you know, sit and converse amongst themselves whether or not they want to jump in. But if you see continuous selling like this, that means that there's no thinking, people just want to get rid of this stock. But for now, today, on this Friday, we seem to have found a floor at 55 cents. But time will tell. So going into next week, and the weeks thereafter, definitely pay attention to that 55 cents level. What do we have up next? We have Spotify. So I've gone over this super simple. Pay attention to that 160 level, 161. If we can get above that and hold, bulls, tip your hats off to them. They've won this battle. If we can get below 148, right, and hold, then there you go. Bears, in my opinion, are winning this. 148 and 162 crucial levels. And you can see we've actually been trading within those levels since the gap down. We placed the bet on the short side. We're hoping that 148 is tested and it rolls over because we're short and we want to see the stock decline. But, again, we pay attention to risk management and we don't fight the tape. So if it gets over about that 160 level, we'll probably start to close our position. But time will tell. We're sitting at 156.77 today. And so far, the trade is working within our favor. So that's kind of my take on Spotify, paying attention to 148 and 160. I'm hoping that we kind of drift more towards that 148 level because I think if 148 is breached, I think we're definitely going to go on to retest this low here of about 135. What's up next? Well, those are the three that I did today, but I do want to give you a little bit of a bonus. I had this on my Sunday watch list, right? So ticker UAA Under Armour looks like an inverted head and shoulder. This was actually a trade we took in the premium member community with a buy zone of around 15 to 16, somewhere around there. Stock is currently sitting at $18.76, representing about $3 for every share owned. So you've earned $3 for every share owned. And I do see 22, 23 on the horizon. So pay attention to ticker UAA. I don't think it's too late to get in. You might want to wait on the pullback a little bit, but I think we're about to hit 22. And with momentum, right, I think we could perhaps even fill this gap here at around $28. But we're kind of far from there right now, one thing at a time. And that first level we want to get to is 22. So I always think about points, right? Within our community, I look for low risk setups that offer a lot of points. An example, UAA, right now we have 3 points. Potentially, you can see 7 to 10 points. With ticker Spotify, SPOT, at the height, we were up about, I want to say, 11 to 12 points on that, meaning for every share that you have shorted, you would have made an extra 11 or 12 point. And one that I'm super proud of, right, I do get proud, would be our Amazon short, right? We shorted this at around 1630 to 1660, somewhere in that range. And at the low, Amazon was trading at $15.46. So if you manage to get that short around 1640 to 1650 like I did, then you were up about $100 for every share owned. How awesome is that, right? And we didn't risk a lot, low risk setup. So even if you had owned, like, I don't know, let's say 10 shares of Amazon, or you shorted 10 shares, you'd have been up about $1,000, right? So that's the name of the game at Short Me Tina. We look for low risk, high reward setup. And those are that's kind of it, right? Pay attention to Amazon, pay attention, not really Amazon, but more so pay attention to ticker UAA. I think that looks like it's about ready and primed to run. Again, we got in around 15 to 16 and I see 22 on the horizon. So that's it. Short Me Tina from shortmetina.com. Head on over to shortmetina.com, sign up, become a member. Thank you for listening. And as always, super important, I mean it. Thank you.